Welcome back to another edition of the 2014 MAC Basketball Tournament. I'm Ben Jeanette. Alongside me is my partner, Matt Schisler. Matt, we saw a great game today.
We did. It was tough.
It was tough. Well, at the end, it looks like the Western Michigan Broncos will be advancing to the MAC championship game tomorrow night. The Broncos beat the Zips by a score of 64-60. That game did go to overtime. The Broncos did trail, though, by 17 at the half. Matt, what did the Zips do in the first half that they didn't do in the second half?
Well, they didn't make easy baskets. In the first half, we were hitting threes, we were hitting layups, we got dunks. Second half, we barely scored. It was incredibly frustrating to watch as we couldn't. Our passing was terrible. They just couldn't do anything. The team was not working well together.
DG Ibatayo was on fire in the first half, getting 9 points and going 3 of 4 from three-point land in the first half. In the second half, he was a non-factor. What did Western Michigan do differently in the second half to win this game after being down by 17 at half? What adjustments did they make on that side of the ball to, one, take DG out of the game, basically, and to just cause headaches all around?
Well, in the first half, Demetrius Treadwell and Quincy Diggs, like I said earlier, had a great first half. They were just easy baskets. In the second half, they tried to take over the game on their own, and that didn't work, especially after what we heard from Coach Hawkins about what he did for his team during their halftime break. They went more aggressive on offense and defense. He said they planned to create traffic for Demetrius Treadwell and Quincy Diggs, and it obviously worked. He said they wanted to create more ball screens, and as we heard from Quincy in the post-game conference as well, he said they frustrated the Akron offense immensely. And slowly but surely, Western Michigan was able to grind their way back into the game. Stat we have here, in the first half, Akron had 7 assists. In the second half, they had 3. So
basically no team basketball. A lot of one-on-one basketball by Akron, and Western Michigan was able to take advantage of that. I noticed a lot of traps on the defensive side, which, Quincy Diggs said that caused him a lot of trouble in the second half.
Ryan Pearson.
I'm going to go ahead and criticize Coach Dambrot here on this. Coach Hawkins made his adjustments at half. You're supposed... I'm not going to, I'm not a coach. Coach Dambrot's been here many times. He knows what he's doing. But I didn't see the in-game adjustments in the second half. When you saw those balls, when you saw those traps on the ball screens, and you saw them, trapping you at the line, not letting you go inside, after you were hitting all those threes, and you couldn't get the ball back inside, I thought Coach Dambrot didn't do well enough to counteract the traps towards the end of the game. What do you think?
I'd agree. They almost went to Coach Dambrot didn't even bother coaching the second half. It felt like, and maybe he was just trying to keep calm for his players or not show emotion. But when you're starting to get your lead chipped away at, especially after being up as much as they were, you have to, as a coach, know how to handle that situation. As Coach Dambrot said, he's never seen a lead like that go away in the second half.
And it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Nick Harney had a rough game today. He played 7 minutes and fouled out. To me, that is unacceptable as a player. If the officials are calling it too tight, I don't know. But to me, that's lack of focus, lack of hustle.
I'd agree. Nick Harney is one of those players, when he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. And today he was off like no other.
And Coach Dambrot stressed in the press conference that he is a very important piece to this team.
Right.
And when you come in to the game for 7 minutes of play and you foul out in 7 minutes, you're not doing what you need to do for your team.
He had 2 minutes in the first half, which for a player that plays as big of a role as Harney does with the Akron Zips, that, and that really, I think, hurt the team.
It's unexcusable. During the press conference, Coach Dambrot lightly criticized the officials by saying that the game was called too tightly in the second half. From what we watched, are those criticisms warranted?
I want to, as much as like I want to back the officials, I think some of those calls were questionable. There were a lot of calls that I could honestly even have gone no calls. Yeah, maybe on Forsyth when he hit that ball, got a foul call on him, questionable. But then again, you can't blame the officials for losing a 17-point lead. So,
bottom line, the officials didn't lose this game for the Zips. What happened is determination and defense won the game for the Broncos. When you play a second half of a game by having 8 turnovers and giving up 13 points off of those 8 turnovers, mind you, for the game, the Broncos had 13 points off turnovers in the second half, had 0 points off turnovers in the first half.
That's right, and in the first half, Akron had 11 second chance points, second half 12 for Western Michigan. So, I mean, pretty much, we literally flip-flopped from the first half to the second half.
Yeah. Another thing that doesn't win you games, and another thing that the officials have no control over, is when a player shoots 45% from the free throws. There's no excuse for a team to shoot 45% from free throws.
If we had made at least 70% of our free throws, we won this game by like 10 points.
The Zips went 6 of 16 for free throws.
Terrible.
The Broncos, 15 of 19. They shot 88%, 88.9% from free throws.
Yeah, this game will certainly be talked about quite a bit this Sunday on Sports Power Talk.
To me, what lost this game in the second half, lack of focus, lack of defense, and in the end, lack of confidence.
Yep, they just came out. You could see in the middle of the second half, heads were drooping, hands on the hips. And like we talked about in the girls' game, as soon as you see hands on the hips, you know it's a bad sign. It's a bad sign at that point.
For Matt Schisler, I'm Ben Jeanette. Thank you for joining us on another edition of the 2014 MAC Basketball Championships.
We'll see you tomorrow for the women's game.